In this video, I'm going to be building an older $400 gaming PC and seeing if it can keep up in 2025. Starting off with the brain of the PC, we're going with the Gigabyte Z97X UD3HBK, which is quite a bit of an older motherboard, but this thing is an absolute unit. I really enjoy opening up these old motherboard boxes because they're just so cool. You get this flap with a bunch of information. You get like a whole window to your motherboard. They're just so much cooler than the newer stuff. Look at that thing. This thing is still in mint condition. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and install the CPU, which is none other than the Intel Core i5-4690K. Quite a bit of an older CPU. This is a 4-core, 4-thread CPU. Boosts up to 3.9 gigahertz. And I'm super excited to see how this thing can keep up with modern games. Pop it in the socket. Give ourselves a little dollop of thermal paste here. Now as for the cooler, I'm kind of on a tight budget with this one, so I'm just going with the Intel stock cooler that came with the CPU. Now for RAM, I went with 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance DDR3 1600 megahertz, and I have 4 sticks here, so 4 gig sticks, so we're going to fill up all of the channels. Just like that, this thing is very simple. I think we're ready to throw it in the case. And the case I am going with is the Montech X3. This is a very nice budget case. Got a mesh front panel, tempered glass side panel, and 6 RGB fans, so I think this is perfect for our build. Not only does it have plenty of airflow on the front, you also get 2 fans on the top and a fan on the back. It's got a nice magnetic closing hinged door. And this thing is not that expensive, it's pretty crazy. We also get some nice I/O on top as well. Got our power button, nice and clicky, microphone headphone jack, 2 USB 2.0s, looks like a reset button and an LED button and a USB 3.0. I am quite impressed with Montech here for the price point. And to make it a little easier when you're building it, you can open the door up and just pop it off like that. Alrighty. Oops, almost forgot. I need to grab the I/O shield out of here. I gotta say, I know this is a budget case, but this thing does feel a little bit flimsy. This metal is super thin and it can flex a lot. But that's what you get when you save money. Looks like all the standoffs line up perfect. Let's screw this thing in. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the storage and hook everything up. I went with a Samsung 860 EVO 1TB SSD. And unfortunately, I bought this SSD and it arrived before I realized this motherboard actually has an M.2 slot. But that's okay, this thing will give us good boot up times and good smooth operation in Windows. Opened up the back panel for the first time. That is a stack of Molexes right there. That's kind of wild. And I went ahead and got an EVGA 500B power supply. This is an 80+ bronze certified power supply. EVGA has a history of making just solid power supplies. And this case has a nice filter on the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in like this. That way it has nice ventilation. Now that's pretty much all left to do at this point is organize all of this. Alrighty, well, it's not perfect or beautiful by any means, but you know what'll fix that? Oh, wow. It's like it's beautifully organized behind there. No one will ever know. Okie dokie, so I've just got a couple of more things to install here. First of all being the GPU, which I'm pairing with this thing, and this is none other than the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti, and I think this thing will pair nicely with the 4690K we have under here. This is a 6 gig card, so it should be able to keep up with most modern titles. And just like that, I believe the PC is done. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get this side panel back on. This is always one of my favorite parts of any PC build. Beautiful. Alright, I've got power hooked up to the back, power switch is on, and I've got HDMI hooked up to my monitor here. Bad. Alright, we got fans spinning. I'm not seeing any RGB lights for some reason, so that's a little interesting. Let's see if we get a signal on the screen or not. Yeah, I think it's boot cycling. It's just shutting on and off. Sometimes a PC does that when it's new. Freshly built. Something's not right here. Alright, so I found the problem. Unfortunately, the third slot here on this motherboard is not working. It doesn't matter which stick of RAM I put in that slot. It always stops working when that slot has a RAM stick in it. So that's unfortunately one of the main RAM slots, so I'm having to put these in the slots not closest to the CPU, which is not ideal for performance, but it's what we're working with, and now we're going to be working with 8 gigs of RAM instead of 16, unfortunately, so that is too bad. Said the PC does now boot, so we can still test this thing out and see how it does. So getting into testing the performance of this thing, we're going to start off nice and easy with Counter-Strike 2. This is at 1920 by 1080p, absolutely maxed out on the settings. And here we're definitely getting like upper 80s, lower 100s as far as FPS. There it's dipping down a little bit there. Drop down into the 50s. There's a couple of stutters here and there. Overall, not bad. Most of the time, the gameplay feels nice and smooth. As you can see, our CPU is absolutely maxed out at 100%. This is definitely a CPU-intensive game, which I wanted to test because this is only a 4-core, 4-thread CPU. And yeah, honestly, this is totally playable, totally usable, and this honestly feels pretty good. Jumping into something a little bit more demanding, we are in Forza Horizon 5. This is at 1080p with the high preset. And once again, our CPU is absolutely maxed out. This quad-core CPU is basically at its limit with these games, but it's performing well here at 1080p high. We're getting good GPU usage, good temperatures overall, and we're getting a steady, upper 60s, lower 70s as far as frame rate. And this is totally playable. You could probably crank up the settings a hair more if you really wanted to. Obviously, this is a GTX 1660 Ti, so there's no ray tracing cores or anything, so you're probably not going to be doing any ray tracing with this card, but this game looks really great at these settings, and it feels really nice. Alright, so I'm jumping into Call of Duty Black Ops 6 here on the balanced preset at 1080p, and we have a shader warning for some reason, even though I downloaded the proper shaders and everything, and proper GPU drivers, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. So there is a couple of stutters here and there I'm noticing, which is quite odd, and but we're getting 96 FPS right now. Now it dropped down to 52. Lots of variation here I'm noticing with the FPS. CPU is pegged at 100% once again. That quad core keeps on struggling, and it feels kind of like we have a GPU bottleneck because the GPU doesn't seem to be working too hard here. And yeah, I think this GPU actually might be a little bit much for the CPU, which is quite surprising to me. That being said, temperatures look good, and overall the game feels pretty decent and smooth with just a couple of stutters now, which seems to have smoothed out quite a bit now that we've actually been playing for a couple of seconds here. Jumping into Microsoft Flight Simulator, this is at 1080p with the medium preset. Here we can see the CPU still pegged at 100% usage, but the GPU is actually keeping up at this point, and it seems to be less of a bottleneck in this game. But here at 1080p medium, we're getting around 50 to 60 frames per second. Temperatures are all looking very nice, and this looks actually quite beautiful even at medium settings here, and is totally playable. It feels very smooth, there's no stutters, and overall a solid flight experience here. And since most people don't benchmark these types of games, I decided to benchmark American Truck Simulator to show everybody what kind of performance they can expect, whether you're into simulators or shooter games, whatever you like. And here, this is definitely can tell more of a GPU-intensive game. We're at 1080p maxed out on these settings, and the game looks absolutely beautiful like this. And yeah, everything's performing well. It feels very smooth. We're definitely around the 50 to 60 frames per second mark, which is pretty solid. This GTX 1660 Ti is doing quite well in this game, and yeah, all the temperatures are looking good. I'm kind of impressed the CPU is only pulling like 44 watts. That's not a lot at all. To be fair, it's only using about 50% of usage, so Not bad at all, and this feels absolutely great and is totally playable. I also wanted to benchmark the CPU in Cinebench R23, and it got a multi-core score of 2,822 points, and a single-core score of 931 points, which is not too great, unfortunately. While the 1660 Ti, I think, is still pretty usable in 2025 if you're not trying to max out your games as far as settings, the CPU is definitely starting to struggle a bit and show its age. So this thing still kind of rocks today. If you are on a tight budget and are okay with using some older hardware, then you can totally put together a nice budget gaming PC. It's not going to play anything at max settings or anything like that, but it'll get the job done, and you can play all your favorite games at playable settings. And this thing is still pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with it. Also, you can still use Windows 11 with some workarounds, and I'll have a video on those workarounds here soon. But yeah, you can totally get Windows 11 working. That way you can keep up with Windows security updates and things like that, since Windows is ending security updates for Windows 10. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing to know. So if you guys enjoy this video and want to see more PC builds on the channel, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That way I can continue to do this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.